call this meeting of the Only City Council, September 8th, 2025 to order. Please rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing as Willard Anderson says our opening prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Heavenly and gracious Father, Lord God, we come to you tonight, and we know your word is truth.
Yes.
And Father, this evening as the mayor and the city council takes up different issues for the city, may your word abide within them. May your will be done. Father, bless them, protect the police officers of this area.
Yes.
Bless and protect the fire department, Lord. And Lord God, we just continually to give you the praise and the glory forever and ever. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Hallelujah.
Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Councilman Miller,
Present.
Councilman Fehrenbacher,
Here.
Councilwoman Eichhorst,
Present.
Councilman Iyer,
Present.
Mayor Lambert.
Here. First item on the agenda is public comments and presentations that do not pertain to cannabis. Any public comments or presentations that do not pertain to the cannabis situation? No, not yet. Seeing none, we'll move on to presentation of the consent agenda, which includes to approve minutes of the council meeting on August 25th, 2025, to approve and authorize payments of accounts payable September 29th, 2025. Do any of these items need to be removed from the consent agenda? I would accept a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing, cannabis relating zoning amendment. Is there any public comments? You must approach the podium, state your name for the record. Whoever wants to go first, just have at it.
Roland Thomas. And the way I see it, we can't avoid it. And they're gonna go to other counties, they're gonna buy it. We've got the shittiest damn roads, and it's gonna go ahead. It'll put taxes in this county. It'll make it where we can redo our roads. It'll help. We can't avoid it either way. Put it in. Just put it in a place where people will not see it. Like Thomas Factory Outlet, it just went out. It won't be an eyesore.
Next to me.
It's off the main road, but it's not a main road that very many people travel. There you go.
Thank you very much. Next public comment.
Hello, my name is Belle Klein. It's okay, I have a couple things pulled up on my phone just so I can get my words straight. I just want to talk about, I feel like there's a lot of different things being talked about and a lot of misinformation that I'm seeing. So I just want to make sure that we are all thinking about this as like an objective decision, not surrounding anybody's opinions on the morality of cannabis or marijuana, because that's ultimately not what this is about. And some of the things that were in the original release to the public, which at least to me came in the form of that newspaper, some Facebook posts, a lot of things that were in there seem to, be misinformation or leading opinions, things about people aren't going to be able to resist smoking it on their way home. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me because the dispensaries are farther from Alney. So if we're worried about that, then I think it would make more sense to have the dispensaries here where people don't need to drive. But also, people don't say that about, all 4 liquor stores in town, or the fact that we have bars that are, walking distance from every residential area. Studies show that dispensaries actually have either 0 effect or a positive effect on the crime rate where they are placed. So I just want to make sure that we are all thinking about this in an objective way and not inserting our own morality or opinion in things.
Thank you very much. Next comment.
My name's Bruce Johnson, and like the last person, I too have a few thoughts on my phone. Thank you, members of the council, for letting me speak tonight. I want to keep this simple, straightforward, and grounded in facts. First, let's be clear at what's at stake here. Cannabis is already legal in Illinois. People in Olney are already using it. The question isn't whether cannabis exists in our community, it's whether we want that use to be safe, regulated, and beneficial to our town. Whether we want our residents driving elsewhere and spending their money in other towns. Our town has its fair share of problems, but cannabis use is not one of them. Science and public health are on the side of regulation. Cannabis that comes through a licensed dispensary is tested for pesticides, mold, and other contaminants. That's not true if someone buys from the illicit market. When people can shop legally, they are not rolling the dice with their health. On top of that, research shows that legal dispensaries don't increase teen use because they check IDs and force that law. Illegal sellers do not do that. We also know that dispensaries improve community safety. Studies from states that legalized earlier show that opioid deaths go down where cannabis is legally available, and dispensaries operate under strict security rules, cameras, ID checks, 24/7 monitoring. These are not Wild West shops. They're more tightly regulated than pharmacies. And let's talk about the zoning. If we zone dispensaries out of town and make the rules so restrictive that they can't realistically operate here, that doesn't stop cannabis use. What it does is stop us from collecting the tax revenue that's already being generated. It stops us from making sure that our residents are buying safe, tested products. In other words, zoning restrictions don't protect the community. They just push the business somewhere else and leave us with all the risks and none of the benefits. Let's be smart about this and not be rooted in propaganda from the 1950s. The economic impact matters too. Illinois brought in over $400 million in cannabis tax revenue last year, and a portion of that comes back to local governments. That's money for schools, roads, public safety. If our residents are going to buy cannabis anyway, and they are, we should make sure that those dollars stay right here in Olney and not in the next town or county over. So the choice is pretty simple. Either we keep up with proven research and we keep our community safe, or we push people to illicit means or alternative substances and to other towns. The science, the public health data, and the economics all point the same way. We should allow a dispensary here no matter where it is. Regardless of your personal feelings on the substance, I encourage this council to allow a dispensary to operate where it makes the most sense economically. Thank you.
Next. Next public comment?
I don't really have a speech made up here, but I was wondering if the police are actually going to enforce the law as marijuana is still illegal. In states where marijuana is illegal, it still is in violation of federal law. This remains a Schedule I controlled substance, and although states and federal governments have not enforced some of these laws, federal law supersedes state law, creating a conflict. This also falls under the supremacy law, or the clause. The U.S. Constitution and federal law is superior to state law. This means that federal law prohibits cannabis and is illegal and legally superior by law to any state that seeks to legalize or regulate it. My question is the police department going to overlook possession from now on? And is it okay to drive under the influence since it's also violating actually federal law? Is this a free pass just for everybody to get high and drive now? We do have a lady here that I know personally was in a wreck. There was a fatality in it. The driver at fault when we went to court was found at fault. She had 3 witnesses that shown there was no way she could have avoided this wreck. He tested negative. He got a free pass and walked at fault. She's doing 7 years in state because she tested positive but was not at fault. It's in her system. Does this go off the table now? This seems like a free pass to, my question is this going to be enforced, or is it a free pass to get high whenever you want now?
So it is my understanding that if you were in a wreck, regardless of what that substance may be, and you were under the influence, that's the way the law works, is my
Okay.
understanding.
Are we going to go by federal or state? Are we going to violate federal law?
So, the state of Illinois has made it legal, and there are many other states that have, such
I know
as
that.
Missouri, Colorado, Michigan, any number of states.
Right, but it still violates federal law.
It does at this time,
Yes,
but I
it
know
does.
that there are some folks trying to get that changed.
Okay, so Alney is gonna go with violating federal law.
I think we're going to go with following state law. I think there will be no more people. I mean, it's not like if there's a dispensary opened in Olney, Illinois, everybody in Olney's gonna be like, by golly, I think I'm going to go try that. That's just not the way it works, realistically.
More easily accessible, but,
The people are driving to Lawrenceville, Grayville, Effingham. They're going to get it now. It's just like
Okay.
when Edwards County was a dry county. There were no fewer alcoholics in Edwards County because they were dry.
right. I mean, where do we draw the line? I mean, should we open a meth dispensary? I mean, that violates law too,
Not legal in the state of Illinois, though.
you know?
Should we pass an ordinance not allowing the use of pain pills?
It was sarcasm, but I mean, you get my point.
I do.
I'm like, the bottom line is it still violates federal law no matter what. If the revenue went, and the revenue really is, I remember when the lotto came here, it was gonna save the schools and the streets. Apparently it hasn't, you know? I mean, the tax increase was gonna save the streets, it didn't. Property tax, my streets got chip gravel on, we're paying $6,000 a year property tax, didn't do anything. So, that's all I had to say.
Thank you. Next.
My name is Blaine Heights, and
Just a moment. Could you state your name for her, please? Linder. Sorry.
okay, I'm here to talk about the marijuana dispensary. And it's, you'd have to be naive to think that if you brought a dispensary in here that you'd have less marijuana smoking than what you have now. So what you're voting for is, if you bring a marijuana dispensary in here, you're voting for an increased amount of smoking of marijuana in your city and county. So, be careful of all the smoke and mirrors that you'll be listening to. You're voting for, yes, you want more marijuana smoking in this city and county, or less. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, public comment?
Good evening. I also have it on my phone. Mayor, councilmen, councilwomen, my name is Raymond Messerly, and I'm the pastor at Olney Christian Fellowship Church. And there was a time in my life that I was angry and I was addicted, and then I heard the gospel message of Jesus, and I felt forgiven and I felt rescued, and it gave me peace and it gave me a sobriety. And my question to you is, do you guys have a story like that? Because if you don't, let me tell you about addiction. My addiction brought damage to my family and my friends, and it consumed my every thought, and it consumed my every action. I was in bondage, and I was a slave to it all. All self-control was eradicated by my body just fiending for more and more. I would stop at nothing until I got what I desired, and I didn't care at what cost that was. Thankfully, Jesus changed my life, and since then, I've been working with various forms of addiction for approximately 15 years. And even now, as we are actively sharing Jesus with people throughout the community, the one commonality amongst these people are their similar testimonies that they have, and how marijuana was the gateway drug to addiction that ultimately led to the destruction of their immediate and extended families, other relationships, their livelihoods, and how they were or are being viewed today by society. And these testimonies, they bear tears that flow out of their eyes and down their cheeks in complete brokenness and embarrassment. And these testimonies bear witness both medicinally and recreationally. And the battle for sobriety is even more difficult. Sounds really familiar. Sounds a lot like when the experts were saying back in the day in regard to cigarettes, right? There was a time when cigarettes were widely promoted as safe, or at least not harmful, by tobacco companies, some medical professionals, and even the popular media. Cigarettes were often marketed as helpful or benign. Tobacco companies actively downplayed risk and funded biased research to obscure emerging evidence. So the question arises is, who was to gain and who was to benefit? But nonetheless, I digress. Guess what is the first thing that these very people desire to crave when fighting for sobriety, speaking from a first-hand on the streets of Olney and the surrounding counties? Guess what it is? It's not alcohol. It's marijuana. Dealing with several people right now that are going through this. Marijuana. In the 1990s, the average THC levels were around 4%, but today they are significantly higher, often making modern marijuana much more potent than what was available in previous generations. As of 2025, the average THC concentration in marijuana flower is approximately 16 to 20%, with some states testing strains at 20 to 25%, and there are known strains of up to 35% THC concentration, which is much more powerful, potent, and addictive to what was in the past. But you don't understand the benefits to the town, Raymond. Okay? I've heard all the talking points and how beneficial a dispensary is to a town. Things like job opportunities, support for local businesses, the possibility of increased property values, and increased tax revenue. I've heard them all. That's great. And I don't see anything here worth enabling addicts, creating new ones, worth destroying families, or destroying of oneself. I'm on the front lines every single day approaching these very people. But it's not that big of a problem, Raymond. Of course it is. Are we willing to see things for what they are? That the love of money is a very nasty thing? I would encourage you to come out into the community with us as we share the gospel and to hear the stories from people whose lives have been completely and utterly shipwrecked by marijuana and the drugs that followed suit. And I say all of that to say this: what cost is too high? What amount of money is worth enabling addiction or creating new addiction? What amount of money is worth broken lives? What amount of money is worth broken homes? And what amount of money is worth the loss of identity in one's own community? What cost is too high? And in my closing thoughts, it's so easy to see the extra inflow of cash and the benefits that would follow, but it's hard to see the perspective from the other side when we are the ones reaping the benefits from the struggles and the downfall of others. So the question, again, arises in our situation here in Olney: who is to gain and who is to benefit? Thank you for your time.
Amen. You want my full name, or you want to go by what I go by?
Whatever you like.
Cat Leaf, K-A-T. I'm a business owner. I also work for the federal government, so I'm a federal agent. I'm not allowed to smoke pot, okay? But in my past, I've smoked pot before. Marijuana, however you want to call it. My husband went to federal prison because marijuana is a gateway drug. But there are people out there, and I agree with each and every one of you, believe it or not, because I'm torn. You know, the county could use the money. The city could use the money. You know, people are going to smoke pot no matter what. They just are. And to get it from Joe Blow from Kokomo, where it's got mites or something else in it, is more dangerous than getting it somewhere where it's controlled. And I've seen some of these dispensaries. No, I haven't gone into one, but I know that they have guards. They check IDs and everything. So it's legit as far as that's concerned. But I don't see why we would have to lower it from 500 feet to 1,000 feet. That's my biggest beef. I want our kids to be safe in school, okay? And I'm not doing the cop's job. I'm not going out looking for meth manufacturers or anything like that. But I want it safe, you know? I want it safe.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
My name is Anthony Moats, and right now my heart just cries out for the younger generation. They are very, very impressionable, and if we get a dispensary here, and with all the children walking around, and the children just going to the park, or just walking to the store with their parents, and then seeing adults or seeing individuals constantly going in and out of a dispensary, that is very impressionable on young children. And these are the young people that are going to take over all of our places. We are supposed to be raising these kids to be leaders, whether it be teachers, or whether it be presidential, or whether it be military. Now, if we bring them in here, and if we bring them in here as far as dispensaries and show them that it is very okay to keep going in and keep going in and keep going in, it has been medically proven that marijuana does impair your thoughts, it impairs the way you think, and it impairs the way you actually act. And it's actually consistent to it. It's not just in the moment. You can smoke and then keep smoking and be an avid smoker and then stop smoking and then still have impairment in your brain as far as the neurons, the way they work. And we don't want these people to be raised up as the next generation. We are gonna doom ourselves if we raise up a generation that is not gonna be able to think fully, the way they were born, without the impact of influence of what we do or how we act and being able to impress them. These are the kids that we're raising up to be leaders. And who are we to be leaders ourselves if we say it's okay and they get our actions? So I am against it.
Thank you very much.
Alright, Roland Thomas again. I keep hearing medically proven. No, it has not been medically proven because it has not been federal released. It has not been federal released. I had seizures. I know this because I had a doctor in Missouri. He could not prescribe it for me because at the time it was not legal in Missouri. And it keeps pissing me off and pissing me off. You guys keep saying that it has been medically tested. It has not been medically tested.
Thank you very much. I would remind everybody to try to use appropriate language as we talk, and one time per person.
My name's James Hannafin. Sober now, longtime drug user of pretty much everything you can get your hands on. I started smoking pot when I was 7. I don't know about medically proven, but I've proven it over and over again that you smoke that crap and you get lazy, you don't want to go to work, you don't want to do anything, you know, your morals go downhill, like it's not good at all, like there's nothing good about it, and it creates an addictive mindset that, you know, that you've got to have it, and then, like, you want to just give it to people so that they can destroy themselves for some money, you know, it doesn't make any sense to me. And like, it's something I've fought with for a long time, and it is a gateway. People can say that it's not, but it creates an addictive mindset in you, and it carries over from one substance to another, to another, to another. And I just think it's ridiculous. But God bless y'all. Oh yeah, and the Bible tells you, be ye sober-minded. Like, I've seen y'all pray. Like, how can you pray and do all that, but then, you know, go against what's biblical?
My name is JD Langton. I did not come prepared, I just took notes as I was listening. I have never been to a meeting like this, let alone spoken in one, so please forgive any lack of etiquette. My goal right now is to just give a short testimony as to the rationality of these arguments. First, I want to bear witness to what Pastor Raymond Messerly said. I'm a close friend of Raymond's and have worked with him in sharing Jesus with people here in Olney, and I have met some of the very subjects that he has mentioned that have gotten off drugs and would testify similarly to the last gentleman that there was nothing good about it. One of the things about medical studies is they're typically done by people who, not in any way related to you, but who look like yourself.
Once again, it hasn't been medically tested.
There's
no more outbursts, please.
Anything. I'm unaware of any medical studies. I just know that a few people have mentioned them. So if they do exist, they're usually done by people sitting around a desk like this, and those people are usually not taking into account the personal experiences of those, like the guy who just spoke. They're not experiencing the divorce and the fatherlessness and the violence and the suicide and the, all those things that go with it. And so I think that it's important for everyone to understand that medical studies dealing with an addictive substance who are not boots on the ground are automatically biased against solving the very problems that the drug is causing.
Seizures are against boots on the ground.
Bro, why you keep...
Come on, that's, please.
I know, I'm late.
It's okay, he's
I'm
late.
late.
I know very little about the drug other than the people that I know who've come off it and are doing better. I'd like to acknowledge, just for a very brief moment, the possible medical benefit it could serve in certain circumstances, and I would hate to rob those people who could potentially benefit from it from having access to it. So that being said, with all rationality in mind here, I'd like to respond to a couple of things that were said. So a couple of people have mentioned safety, that it is safe, that people are going to use it anyway. I think that one of the obvious consequences of having one in town would be that more people will have access to legally buy. Well, I think we all know, even from going to a public high school, that people of age legally buy a drug and then they sell it illegally to somebody younger than them. And that will simply make the handoff easier. The next thing I'd like to touch on is people have mentioned, well, people are going to go drive to another town and get it anyway. Well, yes, but a large majority of people who are addicted to drugs are unable to drive or can't afford a car. So a dispensary within walking distance in town will make it much more available to the population that currently can't drive for one reason or another. As far as the economy goes, I don't know enough about it, so I could not argue the economic detriment or benefit with regard to cannabis. However, I would simply put this before you, especially in the light of the fact that we prayed in Jesus' name before this meeting started, that if we're going to build wealth as a community, let's not do it off of something that hurts people, let's do it off of something that glorifies God. How about we zone something that actually raises money to something that spreads the name of Jesus in whom we prayed earlier, just personal notes. The last thing that I'd like to touch on again is about going back to the studies very briefly. I find it very difficult to see the rationale and the reasonableness in making a decision based off of big company studies. And if I may use a couple of examples, big companies told us a few decades ago that fast food was, good for you and there was nothing wrong with it. And give it a few decades later and suddenly everyone knows, whether they eat there or not, that a McDonald's hamburger is not doing you any good. And if you live off of it, you'll probably die from it. The similar, since we are in Illinois, and I'm not trying to knock the state, but the matter of fact is, we have also enacted unconstitutional gun laws based on bogus studies. So the more people that carry a gun, the more people that get hurt. No, the statistics are consistent. The more people that carry a gun, the safer a community is. That's how it works, because good guys with guns stop bad guys with guns. So my point in saying that is this: the big dogs, if I may say it loosely like that, who promote these widespread medical studies often ignore common sense in favor of a countrywide agenda. And so I would just submit that we do not trust blindly, quote, medical and scientific studies with an issue like this, because again, they are typically lacking boots on the ground experience. They are also typically lacking common sense, as modern Illinois gun laws have demonstrated. And the last thing that I would like to submit to you is just my personal experience. I did not grow up here. I grew up in a very small, we have 8,000 people here. I grew up in a small dairy farming town in New York of about 2,000 people. The biggest problem in our town, and I know that we have a drug problem here in Illinois, I've encountered it along with Raymond myself, the biggest problem we had in that small town was marijuana. And I would frequently find myself at a basketball court or a soccer field or a family park, and very many times I was approached by a teenager or a young adult who was currently under the influence of marijuana. It was obvious that they were not in control of their actions and that they were not going to listen to reason, and as a young boy, not yet a man, every time that happened to me, I was terrified. I didn't know what they were going to do, I didn't know what they were capable of, and I didn't have a way of defending myself because they were bigger than me. And so I'd like to simply submit this. It's kind of a slippery slope, if you ask me. First, you take away more of our rights to defend ourselves with firearms, and then you want to legalize drugs that make people unresponsive to warnings to back off, and then you want to mix us together in a park. So I am a 6'4" man. I'm at least to a reasonable extent able to defend myself, but my wife and my two little girls, along with their homeschool co-op friends, are usually the ones at the park. I ask you, what should my wife do when people high on marijuana that they bought from the store you let come here? What should my wife and children do when they are approached by someone not in his right mind because drugs have altered it and they feel unsafe? Well, they're not allowed to defend themselves. Illinois took that right away from us in most aspects. So what are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to call me and then I come and defend them and then I go to jail because there was a man treating them, oddly or not in his right mind? Do we call the police and the police take them to jail in a state where they've said, well, in most cases you can't even keep them in jail? So all we're doing is promoting a cycle of putting them in jail to just let them out 6 hours again. So we've taken away the right to defend, we've taken away consequences for actions, and now we're proposing, let's make mind-altering drugs, having acknowledged a potential medical benefit for a select few, more widely available to a community. I don't understand the rationale of how that could be deemed logically a safer option. That's all I have.
I'm one of those, this makes me a nervous wreck. But anyway, my husband.
Ma'am,
Pardon me?
state
Sorry.
your name, please.
Donna Greenwood.
Gotcha.
That's my husband over there, and we are one of those boots on the ground, okay? The preacher, where's the minister that said, okay, our grandson had lived with us since the age of 15. He started, of course I didn't know it first, marijuana is where it began. He used it, he went on to other stuff. He still does marijuana. He can't think straight. He can't keep a job. He's had 2 DUIs. He's been in jail. He lived with us, became violent. Like what wherever he went, was just saying about, we did call the police. Got an order of protection. We're the grandparents. We got an order of protection, which was very, very hard. Boots on the ground, very, very hard to do that to your grandson. To say you can't be here because you're doing drugs. You're violent. He's still violent. He still can't handle. It goes on and on and on. It started when he was 15. He is 33. We can't help him. He has to help himself. Church, he has been baptized, but he goes back to it and back to it. Anyway, started at 15. He's 33. At this point in time, he's one open door away from being homeless. That's how I got to say.
Next.
David Leaf. I would urge the council to not just look at the income, but also look at the cost. You know, broken homes, things like that. I mean, alcohol is bad enough. And we don't really see from the income of it any real major improvements. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Next.
Mark, I was informed that I had to sign in before I could speak. Is that all right? My name is Don Hood. I have the pleasure and the privilege of being the pastor at Only Southern Baptist Church. And I just want to address a couple of things just very briefly. We're talking about money here. Let's see what the statistics actually say, not what our opinions are. The statistics say that 19% of the country is in what we call poverty level, $20,000 or less or less per household. That's 19% of the country. 34% of the marijuana users are in that group. So what we're talking about here is we're talking about making something available to the lowest incomes in our community. We're talking about making them less likely to work, less likely to provide for themselves, and they'll be taking money from people who earnestly are in need because they can't work, because they are, in their minds, they're disabled or whatever. So nearly 30% of the people who use marijuana make less than $20,000 a year. If our families were making $20,000 a year, we'd be scratching and, my gosh, what can we do for them? To think that they would have easy access to go down to a dispensary and buy drugs. The next thing I'd like to say is that alcoholism, we've proven over and over and over again, alcoholism costs way more than the revenue that it brings in. It always has. Some statistics have said as much as 90 times the amount of money is brought in from the revenue is spent on car accidents, people being killed, law enforcement, jail time, and all those things that go with it. I might just throw this in as well. Oh, this is safe and it's controlled. Well, so is alcohol. Nobody's selling alcohol over here at the liquor store that has poison in it. It's controlled. It's safe. But yet every single day, somebody in this country, somebody in our area is killed because of alcohol. Somebody is broken home because of alcohol. Well, we're not talking about alcohol. We're talking about the same thing. And if I might use a scripture verse, Jesus was once talking to the Pharisees, and they were commenting, and he said, if they will do this thing in a green tree, what will they do in the dry? Talking to the Pharisees. If they'll do this in the open, what's next? What's the next thing that we bring in and we say, oh, well, the revenue is so tremendous. The revenue, are we that sad? Have we got to that point that revenue is all that matters? Our children don't matter anymore? The community that we leave them, all of us in here are a little older. We're going to be gone in 20, 30, 40 years. What kind of a town are we leaving them? Liquor stores, gambling, dispensaries, who knows in the future if there won't be a brothel here in town, or pornography shops and all that kind of stuff, because, oh, well, that's bringing in revenue. It's bringing in revenue. Cigarettes is a good example. Cigarettes brought in revenue for the country for years and years and years, and we overlooked what the damage it was doing. Are we going to do that in town? We're going to overlook the damage and say, well, we're bringing in revenue. Who's going to hire the extra policeman that's going to take to patrol? What about our health department? Oh, what health department? We're going to have people here to counsel. Well, we need them now, by the way, and Raymond's right. We need them now. We have them come into the church all the time. They need counseling, drug counseling. Where do we send them? We don't really have anybody. Well, we'd have to do that because there'd be more drug addiction going on, blah, blah, blah. Well, I just don't believe that. They're going to buy it anyway. Well, let them go to town over here in Effingham and buy it. That's fine. Don't bring it to town. My soul, what's the next? I mean, what's the next thing we look at? What's the next thing that brings in revenue? What is it? Well, the lotto, how's that changed anything, by the way? I heard somebody say that. That's going to fix roads. That's going to build schools. That's going to do this. It ain't done none of that. And if you're here and you're so naive as to believe the city brings in $200,000 a year in revenue from a dispensary, and we're going to be $200,000 better, you better look at where the money's going now. How's it being spent now? And there's no reflection upon you, Mark, or anybody else. We just don't have the infrastructure. It's just not here. Well, that's why we need a dispensary. You're going to expand the need for infrastructure and not be able to pay for it. What are you going to do? I got to have more cops. I got to have somebody extra working at the emergency room. I've got to have this. That, who's paying for that? Who's going to pay for that? Oh, we're going to get the revenue. Do the work. Alcoholism, cigarettes, and so many other addictive things have proven beyond any shadow of a doubt the revenue is the carrot at the end of the stick. That's all it is. And that the reality is more money is spent on enforcement than it is spent on the actual bringing it in so we can have better roads and that kind of thing. Don't be naive. Please don't be naive. Do the research yourself. If it helps you, do the research yourself. But don't think, well, just because you look at a piece of paper and, well, we're going to get $150,000, $200,000 this year because we have a dispensary. You better find out where that $200,000 is going to go, because it ain't going to go to the roads. You're going to have to do other things with it that you don't even see yet and you haven't seen yet. And I'm saying that from experience as a pastor, experience as a person here in this town for a short time, but in other towns, you're opening up a can of worms you ain't going to be able to close. And that's another thing. Once it opens, and it does go bad, things go bad, and we start seeing the downfall. Who closes it? Oh, we'll just get together and close it. No, you won't, because you can't. You open up you get something started, and they don't stop. And what's the next thing? I walk in here with some proposal and say, well, you can get revenue from this. Yeah, but look at all the people that are hurt. People, are we just not going to, we don't care. We don't care about the kids. we're gonna put it over here on Main Street or over here. What about the kids riding bicycles? The little girl who just ride a bicycle every day riding by there. And seeing the folks wander out. One more thing, and I will stop because I'll get to preaching too much here. One more thing. We talk about medical marijuana. Well, here's what I think. If it's medical marijuana and a doctor prescribes it, let the doctor himself dispense it.
Amen.
Don't be over here, well, it's medical marijuana, and just you're self-medicating. That's what alcoholics do. They self-medicate. Let's open up a pharmacy, or let CVS dispense it with a prescription. Not why my doctor said I should get this. You know, let's be real about this. This is not a good thing for any town, anywhere. Thank you for your time, guys.
Carter Anderson. So I've just recently graduated high school here in Richland County, and I have first seen what it does to people. It's already in our schools, whether we like it or not. It is. People have been caught with it even all the way through elementary school. And if we think that bringing the drug or the marijuana dispensary here will not affect our children and the younger generation, it will. Because kids will buy from other older people who are able to. Do you think high schoolers aren't friends with people who are over 21? People can get the drugs. But the fact is that if we bring it here to our town, it'll be more available. And the possibility of it being close to our high school, that place is already filled with drugs. And we're going to allow the kids to walk down the street and be able to buy off some bum who's already bought drugs from the dispensary. They're buying it there, then they sell it to the kid on the corner. And then they take it right into our schools. You are ruining the next generation if you bring these drugs here. I have firsthand seen the effects of drugs through family, friends here in Olney. I had a cousin who lived here in Olney. He got into marijuana. It was the first drug. He got into alcohol. It ruined his relationship with my family. It caused him to move to other states, Tennessee, California, ruined his life to where now he was recently a meth addict. It is a gateway drug whether you like it or not. That's right. And so he was in prison or in jail here at Richland County. Now luckily, because of the Lord, he is restored. He has a new life where he has a daughter and a soon-to-be wife. But he will tell you himself that marijuana, it was the start of it all. That it alters your brain to think differently. So if we think that bringing this dispensary here to our community will not affect the kids, we are completely wrong and we've lost our way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Barb Baker. I retired here in Olney 5 years ago. My husband and I have fished these beautiful lakes and enjoyed all the nice things that's available in this town. When I first moved here 5 years ago, I had a lot of people in the area, even in church, or thinking, what brought you to Olney? And I said, are you kidding? This, quaint little town. People actually stop and talk to one another. And a lot of my girlfriends from up north, I'm about 30 minutes, I'm south. My husband and I lived there 35 years south of, north of Kentland, Indiana, if anybody's familiar with that area. So that's where I came from. We fished these lakes for 45 years, and I have one word to say about this beautiful town that he and I chose to retire to, is pride. And I've mentioned to people, friends, when I go into Walmart, there's elderly people, young teenagers like this who was just brave enough to get up here, and they're standing and they're talking, and it's a community, and that's what brought my husband and I to this town. I'm not saying, legalizing marijuana is going to trash everything, but I have a 65-year-old sister who smokes pot every day since she's been 15 years old, and her brain is fried. Love her dearly, but her brain's fried. She has no brain cells left. So I've seen it. I'm a retired 16-year teacher. I gave a lot of my own money to my middle school students because their parents chose to spend money on pot than buy their children Christmas presents. And it broke my heart. I knew the kids. I had one little boy in particular in my class. I asked him what he would like for Christmas without the other kids hearing me. And he said, Mrs. Baker, I'd like some drywall. I live in a trailer and my mom and dad smoke pot every day. And it's cold in there and my dad always talks about getting drywall. So I made sure that drywall is delivered. But again, the consequences of, there's addictions of all sorts. We're all aware of that. But I just pray that you will dig deep. And my word, leaving this podium right now, is the pride I have for this town. And I hope it stays that way. Thank you.
Good evening. Unfortunately, I'm not going to give personal opinions. My name is Cynthia Given-A-Night, and I sit on the Richland County Board with my friend and colleague Steve over there. And I've heard a lot of opinions, and I'm really glad that a lot of people who don't normally come to meetings are coming tonight. It shows civic engagement. Maybe you guys want to come to the county board sometime too. I'd love to see you there. And I thank the city council for considering this. But my question is, can we get back to what we are considering tonight? Because I've heard a lot of opinions on marijuana, but I don't know as if I've got clarification on what is actually being considered, and if there are amendments, we could maybe hear them, if there are any.
We can go in reverse.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of people with opinions, and I think that those are great to express, but I just wasn't clear.
So as the public hearing is now
Okay,
open,
thanks. Yeah.
and it will continue to be open until we close, but Mr. Zuber, will you state what the amendment would do to our current ordinance?
Well, I gotta know what the feet from the property line of existing school is now. I think it's 1,500 feet.
1,500.
Okay, and so this would, or the proposed ordinance would lower that to 500 feet.
So it wasn't on whether or not we were going to get something, it's just.
Yeah, that is correct.
That's what it could be.
No. Well, I think the other thing that needs to be kept in mind is that it would have to be in a commercial zone, correct?
Correct.
There are no commercial zones that I'm aware of within 500 feet of the school, except for Joe's Pizza and Marion Eye Center, I believe.
Yeah, this is great, I just.
And
wasn't
so,
sure.
other than that, it would have to be rezoned to be closer than 500, to be within 500 feet from residential to commercial. From any school, and only save for St. Joe, which has commercial that abuts it.
If I may, Mayor, this was brought up at last council meeting about amending Title 17 to change the distance a dispensary could be from primarily schools. There are other requirements, but the amendment would be to the conditions surrounding the location of a dispensary. And I had the question that why were we making it less restrictive than more? Why were we dropping it from 1,500 feet away to now it could be within 500? And I questioned, do we even still want the option to have a dispensary in town? So if the people of the community do not want a dispensary, it would make the conditions moot. It would make them a moot point. So that's why I said, can we table amending the ordinance and see what the public feels about having a dispensary, period? Because we do have the option to opt out of allowing a dispensary in this town. And my feeling is that it should go to a referendum during the public election during the spring. That would allow more time for people to engage in discussion for or against, and it would allow the opportunity for more people of the community to make the vote on whether we want a dispensary in town, yes or no, by the most people. Otherwise, it could come down to three persons could allow the lowering of the restrictions and allow a dispensary to come in. Now, there will be further discussion when we come out of the public hearing, and I have a few other comments to make during that period. But the whole reason we're discussing tonight in the public hearing is that I wanted to feel, and I'm sure that certainly one other council member wanted to know, what is the opinion of the public? We're here to represent you, and often we don't get adequate feedback to be making a decision and of this magnitude, of this possibility of having such a great impact on the people of this community. So it is really not about whether we wanted the agenda item is really, do we want to adjust amend the current ordinance or not? But I feel that should almost be tabled yet a second time until after it is voted on in a referendum by the majority of this community in the spring. So if that answers your question.
No, it does, because I wasn't, from the public feedback, it was just different than what I had researched, and I just wanted some clarity, and I felt like if I'm asking for clarity, there are probably other people maybe even sitting here or watching on YouTube.
Certainly.
Just trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah. Because as of December of 2019, it was an ordinance was added to our Title 17 zoning to allow a dispensary to come into town under certain conditions. And what is occurring now, 6 years later, is that for I'm not certain the reasons, but it wants to be altered to the greatest alteration is to dropping the distance from a public school or school from 1,500 feet down to 500 feet.
Okay.
It would allow it to be, closer to schools.
Councilman, is something time sensitive about this, that it could wait?
That is one question for later. Do we
Table
want?
it, right, to wait for a vote in the
Well,
spring?
we're still in the public hearing, so we're not doing anything as far as the
We're not
council
doing anything.
concerned, but
Okay.
that
Is there any-
will come.
I live in the county, so I don't get a say-so in what the city does. Although I am affected by what the city does, and I do my shopping in Olney. So that's what sucks for me, and people like me.
Further public comments?
Yeah, feel me again?
I was gonna say, I kind of got sick. I would just like to finish with a couple statements, if that's okay. I know you said we.
Let me
only
see if
did one,
anybody
so-
else wants to go. Is there any further public comments?
Just a quick thing. You've already spoken to my wife. My name's Joe Greenwood, and that was one of the most reasonable things I've heard all evening here. It's what you just had to say about getting more people involved to vote on it and to talk about it and like that. But, and what my wife said about our grandson earlier, it was just the tip of the iceberg. And I'm sure that we're not the only ones that have experienced someone in your family, yourself or someone in your family that's on marijuana and has been on marijuana. I'm sure there's a lot of people here, other than the ones that have spoken, that have experienced that tragedy. I don't know if any of you have family members that have gone through this or is going through this, and I won't have you raise your hands, but that it changes your whole outlook when you have experienced something with one of your family members, immediate family members, and had to deal with it. That's all I have to say.
I'm Willard Anderson. I'm the director of the Master's Hands Ministry here in town. And I deal with the grandparents and great-grandparents that had their granddaughter or grandson drop off 4 kids and tell them to watch them. They're just going to town and disappear. And the grandparents don't have no food to feed them, their own Social Security. And we get to deal with that, the drug addicts and that come out there. And I can see nothing good about a dispensary in town. It might be legal, but a lot of things is legal that we shouldn't be doing. hurts the community and hurts the body. Thank you.
Any further comments?
My name is Stan Weaver. It's been about 27 years since I worked with you folks. The faces have changed, the carpet's different. But I used to come here regularly to talk with you about how to improve our community. I'd just like to take you back a little bit to November 18th of 1986. At that date, the Ministerial Association held a community day of prayer. It was right in the Olney Daily Mail, very prominent. Happened to be the day that I first came and saw Olney. So I called the person listed in the ad or the article. Happened to be a preacher, and he said, I asked him, well, where'd you get the inspiration? He said, if you go into the Bible, in 2 Chronicles 7:14, it says that if my people, Christians, will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I, God, will hear from heaven, forgive their sin, and heal their land. In January of 1987, only Richland County had 19.7% unemployment. There was hopelessness. There was people leaving town, businesses leaving town. And since that November 18th prayer by the people, not only the ministers, but people in general calling upon God, in 5 years, the unemployment rate went down to 5%. 2,500 new jobs were created in a county of 17,000. The point is that unless the Lord builds the house, they labor in vain. God is in charge. He built this community. He laid the foundation. He honors those who honor him. He will bless our community as we seek him and trust him for the outcome. If we need more jobs, if we need more tax revenue, why not call upon him for help? I just talked with a worker at Master Hockel who was so happy that he got a job there, and he's so busy because Master Hockel struggles to find workers who will put in a good day's labor, workers who are motivated. And if you go and inventory our industrial base and our other businesses, you might find the same story, that they're short of good quality workers. If you can't feed our local industries with the workers that they need, guess what happens? They leave town. Their impact on the community is less. And so my suggestion is that if you haven't done it, make a thorough effort to canvass your industrial employers, particularly and other businesses, and find out what their needs are and see if they're able to accommodate the worker demand that they have. If they're not, it would be wise on your part to spend the effort and the money to help them first. They're here. They're here and they've proven performance and they made the investment. So put your marbles where it will really give you great benefit. I could go on with other things, but God is just looking for a few people of faith in order to humble themselves and pray and seek his face and to forsake their sins. We had bankers, we had mayors, we had county board members, we had industrial owners, we had labor people, all working together. And they didn't mind at all praying and calling upon the Lord. And so I suggest that this would be a good, viable way for you to meet the community's needs. The city needs for more revenue. And I am opposed to any type of marijuana facility. But that is just small pickings as to the big picture, what you need to focus on, primarily trusting in Jesus and his provision. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I do have
Let the people say this is
I'll get you. Does anybody else want to speak?
I would like to.
Okay, come forward.
My name is Bob Gammon. I have been here 20 years, almost 20 years. I have traveled all over this country for my job. And marijuana doesn't fit our community. Yes, we have smokers. Yes, we have jokers. Yes, we have people who are on drugs. But let's not promote it. Let's not make it official that they can come here and buy drugs. They can buy marijuana. Does it do any good? Probably not. My opinion doesn't count. But I want you all to consider the ramifications and the cost of what the dispensary will bring to this town. Every day, we get another liquor store, we get another gambling operation, we get another social service negative in our town. Let's stop that. Let's make Olney the place it needs to be and the place it has always been. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You don't think there's not a drug problem in Pittsburgh? Yeah, it's terrible. I've lived in Atlanta. I've lived in a lot of different cities. Yes, drug problem is a problem, but marijuana is the beginning. And we need not to have the access for our young people, our old people, or anybody else to make it easy for them to obtain. Thank you. God bless you all.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is David Todd. I moved here July 19th of 2023, and right up there to the house at Addiction Solutions. I have learned through them to be a member of this community, and I've learned Jesus Christ through that house. I've learned lots of things through Addiction Solutions, and that's what has brought me to this community. I have found a foundation of recovery here. I will not leave here. I have found my forever home. People were talking of Olney as a great community. It is. It's a wonderful community. I've lived in other places, Florida, Indiana, and I've not found anything like I have here. And thank you.
We want to get to everybody that's not spoke first.
Kelly Iyer. So I just had a question. I know what is proposed for the vote tonight. So with the distance requirement, can you tell me exactly how that reads as far as what the distance requirement is and why that is in place?
A dispensing organization may not be located within 500 feet of the property line of a pre-existing public or private nursery school, preschool, primary or secondary school, daycare center, daycare home, or residential care home. I think that is really the crux of what we are discussing
Okay.
tonight.
So why is that in place? What is the core of the reason that that is in place?
Originally, it was what was recommended by IML. And it was, state law, I believe, was 1,000 feet. And then it has been taken down to 0 feet. And so we thought that we would shoot for the middle and do 500 feet.
So
Because we are-
why is there a recommendation though to be so far from a school? I mean, what do you think is the heart of that statute?
Well, so that's the way the state law was written originally. They wanted to, they wanted to keep it away from schools.
Away from schools,
And
so
you
away from
cannot
children.
advertise within 1,000 feet of schools, even now by state law.
Okay, so what we're contemplating is to reduce the amount of distance from 1,500 feet to make it closer to schools within 500 feet. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I don't know very many people that would put a joint in the hand of a child.
I would agree with that.
But I do believe that when we are making it closer to schools, the likelihood of that happening has increased. And so
So as I said earlier, though, this still has to be in a commercial zone. And so there has to be a commercially zoned property that is farther than 500 feet from a school. And none of our high schools have that except for Marion Eye Care Center, Joe's Pizza. And the middle school has none. The elementary school has none.
Well-
St. Joseph's School is adjacent to commercial on Main Street. And I suspect that Full Armor would be adjacent to industrial in the north side of town.
Mayor, is that at 500 feet or at 1,500 feet as it currently reads? Is that, which distance are we talking?
I'm talking about any distance. You have to have commercial property there.
Commercial.
And there's no commercial property around the middle school or the high school that's available. It's not Joe's Pizza or Marion Eye Care Center. And there's none around the elementary school. It's all zoned residential or agricultural.
The 1,500 feet keeps it past Main Street from the high school,
No, that
from
would be
St.
correct.
Joe.
So it sounds to
Anything
me,
along these-
I'm sorry, that if we can't do it within the 1,500 feet, or can't do it then it doesn't belong in our town. And that,
I believe that's a question for the council to answer.
well, a verse comes to mind that says that, woe to those who cause a little one to stumble. It would be better if they had a millstone around their neck and thrown into the sea. We don't want our children to stumble by having these, a dispensary close to where, so that in their view, around where they are, I believe that that will cause them to stumble in their lives. And I know as somebody from this community, I don't want to promote that, to promote someone to stumble. And if the ordinance was 1,500 feet, then why would we make that shorter so that they could have more exposure to a dispensary, so that would increase the risk to our children?
So, I think as some people have stated here, children can't walk into a dispensary.
Correct.
Um,
But that is in place for some reason.
Well, yeah, because it can't go into a bar either, right? And I think, there are people that will sell marijuana to underage kids. That will happen regardless of whether we have a dispensary here or not. I would suspect that 99% of the marijuana that's sold to underage kids in this town, and maybe Chief Bloomer knows this, probably doesn't come from a dispensary.
But do you think that the
So it's
increase,
not- it will
it would
change.
happen more? Do you
No,
think that
I
that?
don't.
How
Because
can
it's too-
that not be more?
Because it's too expensive. Dispensaries sell expensive material. I mean, it is not cheap. And you can, I think we forget, so I guess we have forgotten the lessons of prohibition in the early 19th century. Or 20th century, you turned people into criminals that were not necessarily criminals. And they were going to make it. You can make alcohol, but you can grow marijuana a whole lot easier because it grows around here. You cannot stop it hurting. People are
Well,
going
we
to
don't
grow
want
it.
to promote it though, and make it more available. So anyway, that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody that has not spoken that would like to speak?
Christian at Calvary Baptist Church. I also drive a school bus here in town. And it's interesting in order to maintain a CDL, I've got to be careful how many of those, the crazy bread that I eat over here at Ginger Ale's with the poppy seed on it, because it could show up in a drug test. So obviously they don't want people operating large vehicles under the influence of this drug. So we know it's destructive. It's not good. And so I just want to give a hearty amen to these others that have said things. I can't really add much to that, other than to say right now I'm going through a series of messages at church and on the family. And that's my great concern here, is our community and our families here. They're at stake. And we are responsible as leaders for what we bring to our families. What I bring home to my house and put in my refrigerator and put under the influence of my kids, I'm responsible for that. And so as leaders here, we must think and count the cost, because there was a man in the book of Genesis that made a decision based upon finances alone. Lot moved his family towards Sodom. Of course, that didn't end up very well for him. And I want to encourage our town and our community, let's move away from Sodom. Let's get away from that and put as much distance between us and this awful drug as we possibly can. Because we love our kids. I know everybody on this board here has family. You love your kids, grandkids. That's who's at stake. And I think of the verse, Mark 8, verse 36, what shall it profit a man if he gain the whole world but lose his own soul? And, we've got to count the cost, and it's just not worth it to bring this in and make it more readily available, like has been said. We know they're going to do it anyway. They're going to get it illegally. We understand all that, but let's not bring the rattlesnakes closer so they can get bit by it. Let's keep some distance between us and that. So that's what I want to encourage you guys to do, and I appreciate your service on the board. Thank you.
Any further comments? Any further comments from any that's not spoken? All right, one more. Maybe. We could have one.
I'm Alice Anderson, and I have a son. When he was 9 years old, he got hooked on marijuana. 9 years old. He didn't even know what he was doing. So from 9 years old to a teenager, he was in trouble constantly. He lied, he stole, he done anything he could to get the next fix. When he got to be 20 and 21, he was getting in trouble. He was up here in jail once a month at least. We'd bail him out, he'd go back. I went to the state's attorney and begged him if he could do something to help me get him put in a program to where they could dry him out and he would be all right. State's attorney said, no ma'am, there's nothing we can do. He's of age now and we can't help you. I said, then why didn't you help me before he got to be of age? Because we were in here all the time, you know us. And now he's got 5 kids that he's never been in their life. He's been in trouble all the time. He went to prison. He's got grandkids that he's never been in their life. They've never laid eyes on him. And he's homeless. He can't keep a job. And you can't believe a word he says. So it all started over one marijuana cigarette. That's all I have to say.
Anyone further? Anyone further that's not spoke? Very briefly, we've got.
Very briefly, I want to know if this is going to be a medical or a recreational or both.
We don't have anybody that we know of that even wants to do it.
Well, I'm sure
So,
I can find all kinds
that
of
answers
them.
that.
I'm not the one to go out.
There's one guy behind you. Hold on.
I just wanted to state that in my experience, in every dispensary I've been to in Illinois, it's not regular THCs they give you, it's THC-A, which is Delta 9, which is chemically altered marijuana. And I know that
So that's already being sold here in only now at the smoke shops.
They can get rid of that.
We've had that discussion and we have tried. And Chief, from what we found, it's very difficult, correct? But we found out it's very difficult to do a test and through all that. So.
It's
I appreciate getting this chance to talk since I kind of had a bit of a medical episode earlier. I think that a lot of the disconnect coming here is happening because a lot of the people that, like, there's things that you wouldn't know unless you smoke weed, objectively. And this is my community. I love everybody here. I don't want to sit here and argue that, you know, weed is bad and people who smoke it's bad and people who think it's bad or mean to me. That's not what I want. I love everybody here regardless of their opinions, and I'm not going to sit here and try and convince you that weed is better than you think it is. That's a fruitless pursuit on both of our parts. But as our mayor said, weed is legally sold in Olney. It is artificial cannabinoids, which is known as like lab weed. Instead of growing it in a flower and then being sold that way, they go to a lab and they mix all of the chemicals that would grow on that flower, and they sell it in like a pen or other ways. And that is not federally regulated the way that dispensary products are. Also, when you go to a dispensary, you are ID'd at the door, you are ID'd when you purchase the product, and then some, depending on where you go, you're ID'd at different points, and so is every single person that you go in there with. That's not always the case from some of these small shops. And these small shops, this lab weed is not regulated at all. There could be pesticides in it, it could be way stronger than you know what it is. So this is not a question of whether or not we are introducing weed into Olney. This is a question of whether or not we want people to have the unregulated lab weed, or whether or not we want to have a dispensary that has regulated products in it. And that is the only thing I want to say, because I feel like everybody deserves to know that information. Thank you very much.
I think that would be, if I could, that would be like, would we want moonshine or Jim Beam?
It's not really the same thing. I'm done.
Did you have something to say?
I had a clarifying question, if
Yeah.
I may. Would you like me to sit or stand?
You can go from there if you'd like.
Okay. Again, forgive my ignorance here, and I may have even missed something said in the meeting. I was trying to pay attention. Is it currently legal for someone to open a dispensary
It is.
in Olney? Okay. In any of the council members' opinions, why has that not happened yet? Is there another zone, like this one about the school, currently preventing that from happening from a practical standpoint?
I think practically we're not on an interstate or we're not on a state line.
It's my understanding that I think one opened in Albion recently, and I think that,
Grayville and Lawrenceville.
Okay, so,
Grayville has a grow facility.
Albion's got a grow facility, right? Albion does, not Grayville.
So
Yeah,
correct me if
Grayville
I'm
has
wrong,
groceries.
those would not be, I don't think I would consider those any more accessible to large travel areas. I think, like, again, speaking.
Grayville's on the interstate next to
Right, with the exception of Grayville.
and
forgive me, I'm a little
Effingham's on the
confused.
interstate, and Lawrenceville's across the state line from Vincent's.
Okay, so then currently, based on the 1,500 feet law that we have,
Mhm.
it's not the 1,500 feet law keeping a dispensary from opening because of available space?
I think it probably could, because that also isn't just schools, but it's also daycare facilities,
Daycare.
which
You
is
can
home
open
daycare
daycare
as well.
So then, to make sure we all fully understand it, myself included, to piggyback off of what the nice lady from the county was getting at, she meant to pinpoint what the issue is for all of our understanding, that we were not necessarily here, not argue, but you know what I mean. We weren't really talking about whether or not a dispensary could be put in Olney. She was saying, she was trying to get clarity. We were talking about whether we would make it legal for it to go closer to schools. However, I would simply just put this geographical reality on the table for us to consider. If there are multiple schools with a large radius, then that is automatically covering more territory and making it much less possible for a dispensary to open, because of the geographical area that is covered by multiple 1,500 feet ordinances. Whereas if we drop all of them, then the math is 2/3 more geographical area opens up as an available slot for a dispensary. So anybody who wasn't coming in because of those school ordinances would now have 2/3 of that land freed up of an opportunity to come in. I think what that demonstrates is, while the issue technically on the books is the radius to a school, dropping that automatically opens up consequence, we actually are arguing whether or not a dispensary will be allowed if the current school radius is preventing it.
There are places in town it could go, regardless of
Okay.
whether it's 1,500 feet or not.
And that is, I was partly stating, but partly asking,
Yeah.
because I was not
There
sure.
are some places that it could go.
So then, my last question for clarification is, this gentleman here had mentioned a little more time and then the community voting on whether or not a dispensary could come. What then, since I think we've got the logistics of the school law covered, what would need to be done in order for a law to be passed in the community that would prevent a dispensary from legally being put here? Is that a vote thing? Is that a you thing? What can you explain briefly how that would technically work?
I don't believe there is a referendum that can be called to do that. At this point, it would be purely advisory. It is a decision of the council, a 3/5 vote of the council.
Okay, so then if the community wanted to say, speak towards disallowing it entirely, it would be, in a sense, another meeting like this where a lot of people tried to influence you. Am I correct in saying that?
I think that's correct.
Okay, well then I think, now people might wanna nod their head or whatever in agreement or not, but perhaps maybe an equally, possibly more productive meeting would be letting the community come out to speak towards whether it's even legal in the first place, because just based on, from a neutral perspective, it sounds like most people, like she mentioned, spoke towards it being allowed at all, rather than the school thing.
And I think most people in this room did, but I'm not certain that that would follow through to the rest of the community.
Well,
I mean, so
possibly.
I've got
So then would it
lots of
be
emails.
beneficial, would it be expedient then to have another meeting where the community can speak to that specific issue?
I mean, that's up to the council.
I'm surprised that one hasn't opened already, but then I did some research, and I've been told that it costs like $275,000 to even open one up because of the cost of the marijuana, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, it's not.
Security cameras and all that kind of stuff. So that's why we probably don't have one yet.
Well, that
you
makes a
know?
lot of sense, that's
Yeah.
part of the answer,
I mean,
yeah, I was
we are
looking
not
for
a
the.
rich community, so I mean, just putting it out there.
Anything further? Anything further? Let me get Stan down.
You referenced that a dispensary is in Grayville, and you referenced because it's on the interstate.
Yeah.
The state next to it, Indiana, it's not legal. If you cross the border, you'll see a billboard up there saying marijuana is not legal in Indiana. So you're saying that actually Grayville's pushing marijuana over to a state that's still legal.
That is correct. I think it's back like when fireworks were legal in Indiana and they weren't in Illinois. You'd go over and get fireworks and bring them back. I think it's just going the other direction now. That's what's happening. I mean, not to be flippant about it, that's just what's happening.
Yeah, I used to live in Indiana, and I would drive over here to buy my pot and go back over there.
Did you go to the dispensary?
So we think that's good.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that's the reality of it. Yes, sir.
Just like to mention that it's important to look at the big picture. I spent 19 years working with men at the state prison. I have met with a lot of them that have used drugs, marijuana, and I've seen the families come in doing visitation periods, and it's just devastating to see what the families have to face visiting someone in prison. And so, if you're going to err in your decision-making process, I would put more emphasis on the human toll of this deadly substance rather than the monetary benefit.
Thank you. Anything further? One more time.
Just real quick, I've heard a lot of thoughts and opinions about marijuana, and I would just like to add that I'm a United States Navy combat veteran, and I never touched marijuana until I was well after my 30s. And it helped me out of my PTSD shadow, and it helped me with my movement disorder, and it helped me get a full night's rest. I'm also a business owner, and I work very hard for a living.
So you can still work.
You can still work.
Yep, you can.
It never destroyed my family.
still
And-
consume? Do you still do that?
There's a lot of folks out there, there's a lot of folks out there that it does help. And just like there's a lot of folks out there who drink that don't go out and get stupid.
Amen.
There's a lot that do. There's a lot that do. There's a lot of gun owners out there that don't go out and get stupid.
Do you still consume, sir?
Occasionally, when I need to. But I would much rather spend my money right here in this community because, like, the gentleman over here mentioned, I moved here 5 years ago and I fell in love with this community.
Anything further? Any further comments? Any further comments? This public hearing's closed. Next item on the agenda, or do we want to take a brief recess? Anybody want to recess? You wanna go?
I can.
I would accept the motion for a 5-minute recess.
Moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. We're now in a 5-minute recess. Man, I drank too much water.
Good to see you, community, wanting to be in the.
I really.
And as many people spoke, I counted 26. Not everybody spoke, so there's gotta be at least 40 people.
I think it. Oh.
It's all right.
I think it should go to the referendum.
I should, what Mark just said, I'm gonna really question that. We can't put something before the public vote that lets us know what they want to happen in the community. We can put, there surely must be something.
There has to be boxes that will answer that.
And that's an answer to the question, and if not, then we need to find out a way of which finding out more of the public's opinion.
I know. Oh.
Well, that's a record even for me. That was a long public hearing. That's a record. Not that I'm that old here, but I'd like to see more of that. I think it's fantastic. I think that's fantastic.
More water.
An hour and a half. Without groaning.
It's hard on me. I don't make the noises that I used to make when my father was
We make a concerted effort not to groan when we rise.
Yes, we try.
Not doing it. No,
When is that? Is that right after this?
well,
Hopefully, what time is that getting passed? 7:09?
put on. We can table it again.
I know, but what are the chances?
Item is whether we want to decide. I said, really, this, do we even want this? We got new members on the council. You know, you and I, Mark, but you were before my business. So we have 3 others on council. Let's put it to a referendum. And he says, I want to know a question or a question or a healthy question. We have to be a way to query the people of the town. They should be able to vote on it. Well, no, it's not undoable, but he's saying it can't be done by referendum, but actually it can be. Because this is an opting out. A town can pass an ordinance to ban the sale of recreational marijuana within its borders. Full stop. You can pass an ordinance. So good turnout, Steve, and you didn't have to speak. So there you go. But you were here. But I got 2 more minutes, but I can't believe that we can't go to a referendum. I don't agree with that. I want to know from Bart why it can't go to the public voting.
I'm just against it being within 1,500 feet of the school or district. But you gotta know where all those daycares are, because if somebody's operating a daycare out their home, you know, they never know.
But can't we put a record to garner public opinion? Can't we put an item on the record? But it's not going to be. There has to be something we can put. I want this to be on a ballot somehow. Say, do you want a dispensary? retail dispensary all in the city. Just to get some input back. Now, it's not to pass an ordinance, you're not saying you wanna pass this ordinance, we're just, do you want this, yes or no? And then if it's like the majority no, then we'll pass an ordinance and say we don't want a dispensary. And it says clearly we don't have to, we can opt out. I mean, it's clearly says we can. No, once it comes in, so right now we have this window. And if nothing else, then if you don't wanna go to a referendum, then I'm gonna make a motion. Can we change it, not to 500 feet, can we change it to 3,000 feet? Make it so that it's beyond any possibility of coming into commercial. We could, but we could also squelch it by just changing the distance. He says at 1,500 feet, there's only like 2 places. All right, then let's bump it, let's double it, let's make it 3,000. I'd like to go referendum to say whether that people want this or not, but if it's a strong yes voting, then we'll see. He said no, you heard him say, I don't buy it, I don't buy it, I don't buy it.
Was the possibility that it came before the referendum, before you guys had a chance to discuss it? Even if we put this on the table right now, it's 50. So,
Once they still come in, right now.
Yeah. Once it gets.
So I do wanna, the best would be to change this now so it's very restrictive, so that one couldn't come in between now and then. Yeah. Yeah. So I'd like to adjust this then to the distance to put it beyond a business. Commercial. Yeah. And we still have more to go, plus closed session. Jane? How the girls doing in school? Good year so far?
Yeah, they are actually
2 weeks in?
Salmon River right now. 2 or 3 weeks in a row of school is enough.
Hey, we're out of here.
Yeah.
Cool. Salmon River, where's that?
I don't know. North, it must be central Idaho because they flew into Salt Lake City and it was 8 hours from Salt Lake City north. So yeah.
Where is Tom?
I know, you shouldn't say anything wrong, but just so
Oh.
you know, this is on. Salmon River
I'm
is
not ready to vote on it tonight. I'm gonna ask you to table it.
I've only driven through Idaho. It's a beautiful state. It's beautiful. But I understand to be comfortable there, you have to be Mormon.
You have to be Mormon? Oh. That's
Close enough to Utah. Because the population's down near Utah, I guess. So you get up in the stovepipe, you're good.
Oops.
Few of the faithful.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you probably have time. Alan's not here. Oh, Alan is here.
Yes, we have a lot to do.
Cause I think, I'm not ready to vote on it.
I'm sure.
Except for,
I really want to question it. I want to hear more about why we how that would be involved. But more to discuss.
okay.
I'm not ready to vote.
All right. I would accept a motion to enter back into session.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. We're now into regular session. First item on the agenda is an ordinance to amend Title VII zoning of the City of Olney Municipal Code. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Title 17, Mayor.
Yeah, I said Title 17.
I thought you said 7, sorry.
Oh. That would be the marijuana ordinance. Is there a motion to go ahead and amend it as given or to table?
I make the motion to table tonight.
Motion, second. Motion made and seconded. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. This motion is tabled. Next item on the agenda is a tourism grant request and/or general fund contribution from the Only Little League Improvement Projects at Musgrove Park Complex. There's nobody here from Little League. Little League has come to us and asked for some funding, I think it is in your packet, regarding, let me put this over here, for some improvements at the fields, which would include dirt work, drainage work, and the like. They have $10,000 pledged for that project, so it would be a total of $40,000 they would spend. I think they are asking that it would come from tourism funds, which we have.
We do, but is that really getting people to come and sleep
I
in
think if we have
hotels?
tournaments, we went over this numerous times, we bring in lots of people into town. For every tournament we bring in of 40 or 50 teams, you bring in roughly 2,000 people. And they do fill the hotels. If you have 9 tournaments a year, you would raise roughly $10,000 in tourism funds.
And then we also had discussed using some of those tourism funds on boat docks, so if we do that, that will take away from that project.
How much money do we raise a year?
About
120?
120 to 130.
Okay. How much do we have in reserve?
Right now, there's 300 and, let's see. $399.
So 399,000, they're asking for about 10% of what we have in there, or roughly 30% of what we gain in a year, I guess would be the funds.
Or 6 times more than what is expected to be the maximum amount.
I said
That's
if you
what-
have nine, but this would not just be for a year, so if you did that 3 years in a row, then it would pay itself back. And if we grow, we make those,
Hello.
Whoa.
had a little misfire on the pen there. If we would do that 3 years in a row with just 9, it'd be roughly $10,000. Now, if we would grow back to where we were at 17, we'd probably make that back in about a year and a half.
I didn't track with that at all. I'm sorry. I just said that the requested amount is 6 times more than what is said shall not exceed $5,000, and they're asking for
Oh,
30
I
grand.
thought you were talking about.
No.
That is arbitrary and at the discretion of the council.
Is it? But I know you two met and some others, and it's like you kind of, because we stopped all donations to us. Said, hey, let's come up with a plan for when people make a request of the tourism fund. And you guys came up with, we can do that at the discretion of the council, not to exceed $5,000. And now all of a sudden
I was never a big fan of that. I think if we're not going to utilize our tourism funds, we should probably quit charging the tax personally. It is there to put heads in beds. That's the primary purpose of that fund.
and you say a tournament a large tournament will bring in
40 to 50 teams, and that works out to
2,000?
about 2,000 people.
And that is how much revenue? Because I've always talked about anything that brings in people brings in more money to the city, but there's never been a dollar put
So
with that
if
except
you
for
look
sales
at, if
tax
you book out the
increase.
hotels
in-
for the weekend, you would generate roughly $1,500 in hotel motel tax. So if you do that 9 times, you.
Filling all the
$10,000.
rooms, that's about $1,500.
And that's what happens. I mean, I think they came here and vouched for that fact.
And I will tell you, there
And
are
that-
restaurants you do not want to go to during a baseball tournament because you can't get a seat.
Okay.
I mean, it does. Now, it gets harder to quantify the sales tax implications, because that's harder to do. We can look and figure out
So
hotel.
for
motel.
restaurant and motel receipts, we can get a general idea if they are full versus their general occupancy.
Mhm.
And that, do we ever break it down per person? Every tourist brings in 87 cents.
I
in
think
revenue.
it's worth roughly $100 per person,
Per
per se. I think that's just a general average.
Okay. Now, this $30,000 for improvements to the ball fields, is that what the Little League came up with? I mean, it seems like this would be something that'd be running through our parks. and
Well, see, they do
Frank
a lot of
Rabbit.
that work on the fields themselves. So it would all be donated labor and time.
And the $30,000 going towards equipment,
Materials.
Materials.
So a lot of that would be dirt. There's some fields that are wet, some of those fields.
The outfields?
Yes, so get the water off of them. There'd be some turfus. I think there'd be some work done on the batting cages is my understanding.
And there is no current, nothing current in the
bases.
budget for the Parks Department about,
I don't think so. I mean, we have spent.
improvements to the ball
Up
field.
until last year when we put the new lights in, and they were not cheap. They were $70,000 we paid, or how much did we
I
pay?
think it's 130, I thought.
And then we
We
get
got
money raised, so
some-
it got
we
down to
got
about
some money
70.
back.
That was really the first time that we had spent a significant amount of money at those ballparks since 2011 and 12.
And tourism money is a legitimate utilization. Ball fields would be a legitimate utilization of tourism funds?
If they
Not where you-
bring people to your hotels.
Okay, which it shows that.
And I mean, that has been a proven fact.
And do we have, now, if the 30,000, I'm not exactly clear, are they asking for 30 total plus, and they'll get another 10 from, so they're looking at 40 grand.
Yeah.
If we'll give them 30, they'll get another 10 from private money.
Because I mean, the bases have went up from, I think when they first purchased them, $80 to $300 per base.
Okay, but $40,000, we're
nine.
talking a lot of bases. Do we have any kind of, will we have any control over our $30,000, how it's being spent?
I mean, I suppose it could be. I mean,
Yeah.
we just have to have them, I mean, they'll have to present receipts, I would think, and things for us to pay it back.
Do we have anything else about their plan of action? What, you said it needs drainage, better drainage, there's gonna be some fill
So
brought
in
in.
particular, I think fields 2 and 3 are in ones of the most need of dirt work. We have to raise some of them several inches in the outfield to get the water to flow correctly. And then rebuild some mounds and things for the different, whether it's baseball or softball. Softball don't have mounds, but I know baseball.
But dirt work and field improvement bases, I'm just having trouble coming up with 40 grand to cover this.
Could we maybe just ask them to come in here and,
Yeah, I'm not sure why they weren't here tonight.
you know, I mean, I have no doubt that, this is a good
There's a
idea,
need,
but
sure.
I would like to see the itemized things as well. As far as, we're gonna spend this amount on dirt work, we're gonna spend, that amount on this repair, you know, I don't doubt that, I don't think they're gonna waste our money, but I think the taxpayers ought to at least know
Where this is going.
where it's going.
We will table that until next time,
Very
and we
good.
will have them come in. Next
Do you
item on
need
the
a motion for
agenda.
that, Mayor? Can you table?
Sure.
Make a motion to table item.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda, discussion possible action, recognition plaque in Musgrove Park in honor of the Musgrove family.
I did talk to, yeah,
Dave Shaver.
no,
No?
the, thank you, Adams, who does the, cemetery markers. And they would be willing to, engrave the plaque, virtually whatever we would like. I think we could fit on it for $150. Something to the effect of, if we take the, one plaque that just has Alvin and Winona Musgrove on it, we might precede that with something to the effect, 53 acres to be checked, verified, donated by Alvin and Winona Musgrove, 1994, also to be verified. Something to that effect, $150.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second?
Second.
Motion made, second. Any further discussion?
Could we call him up, or are you, can somebody just contact, the gentleman that's been asking us? Could we at least?
I
inform
think
him?
Again, I
his,
will
I
talk
think
to him
his is
this
a
evening.
separate issue, though.
It is, I will talk to Mr. Schaefer this evening.
I think that's a separate.
This isn't what he asked for.
No.
No.
Well, he wanted recognition of the council that was involved in producing the park, as well as recognition to the Musgroves. But
If you could
it
please.
seemed to be the general feeling, consensus of the council, that we weren't really interested in mentioning the council. That's kind of just our business, is to promote
If you
and
could please inform him
develop
of that.
the public facilities. But to certainly acknowledge those generous Musgroves in their donation.
Motion on the floor and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is an ordinance to authorize the sale of items of personal property owned by the city of Olney, pickup trucks from the Park Department.
These are, 3 trucks that, Frank Bradley recommended disposal of, and they're 1998 model Dodge trucks that are pretty tough condition.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Do these trucks run currently?
2 of
Two
them
of
run,
them.
1 does not.
those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is a resolution to accept quote for Christmas light scenes and waive formal bidding procedures. Mr. Barker.
And this, again, is for a recommendation from Frank Bradley. It's a replacement of lights on the gazebo. And there's, I think, pretty limited suppliers or, for that type lighting. And, he's recommended that we waive formal bidding and accept the quote that he's, submitted in our package.
This just comes out of the, fund whenever you're collecting the money at the end of the light display, it comes out of that fund, right? How much is in that, do we know?
Showing, 19,000, I believe, somewhere around here.
That's your budget line item.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
There's
There's 19
124,000
remaining.
in the checking
Okay.
account.
24 in the cap, but it's showing 19 in the
124.
budget.
Yeah, we've got 124,000 in the or in the bank, in that account.
Questions, comments, or a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, and this will replace our LED electronic display.
Yes.
It's getting a little long in the tooth. It's about 12 years old now. All right, any further discussion? Further discussion. Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is discussion and possible action authorization of solicitation of bids for the North Avenue Waterline Project. Mr. Barker.
Again, this is, we're ready to get bids on this project. Mike's here if anybody has questions. I can't answer everything about
Oh, there it is.
bids on that.
What do you think? Anything that we need to know?
No, it's just to move the water line out, move the road.
How much do we think?
I think there's, budget $800,000.
825.
Okay, very good. Questions, comments, motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is a resolution to accept quotes for radios compatible to the countywide radio and communication system and waive formal bidding procedures. Mr. Barker.
And again, you have this information in your packet. It's the same project that we've talked about a couple of months in different meetings. Just go ahead and buy the radios.
Questions, comments, or motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Further discussion. Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda, presentation possible action, MFT compliance review report performed by IDOT for January 1 through December 31st, 2024. Ms. Smith.
These, every year the IDOT reviews our MFT funds, and then once they review them, we have to present them to the council. So it's just the report that they reviewed, they had no findings. So if you have any questions on it, I can try to answer them.
Questions, comments? Questions, comments, or a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is discussion, possible action, or ordinance, partnership with the Olney and Greater Richland County Chamber of Commerce for downtown events and/or amend Chapter 12.52 special event permits for the City of Olney Municipal Code. Dave, would you like to say anything?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Currently, every time that we have or host a Fifth Friday event, we thank you for your generous donation that you have already given us this year. The insurance, we're taking that up every time, is about $250 to $500 each time. And when we're putting on these events, the chamber is not bringing anything back. We are also partnering with a lot of the downtown businesses, working together now, like Gratitude and Grace and Humble and Kind, something that we're doing in October, just for the community to get them down. We're trying to get people to downtown. So what we're asking for is a yearly one-time, basically, coverage that would cover events that go from Main Street, the 200 block of Main Street, into L to Whittle Avenue. If that, basically, we're asking for a special permit for that.
That we would waive the
Yes, correct.
insurance.
Your part would be waived, and then we're also working on a policy, just so that you all are aware, with our insurance cover, that would also be a one that would cover us for the whole entire year instead of every single time, that we would present to you as well.
So nothing really changes other than insurance is gonna go from per event to.
Exactly.
And
here's my annual certificate.
Right.
How about vendors? Are they no longer gonna have to have,
They, currently, we carry the liability for that each time. So that is kind of what he is asking. On October 4th and 5th, we're having an event, for example, and Jennifer, Glover is working with me, as well as Brianna from Humble and Kind. And they are going to bring the only downtown market down to our area. So he was basically saying for that one time that we would take the liability for that as well as the shops.
Yeah,
so
because
your insurance is gonna carry the vendor's liability?
For that event, yes. But in future, we are asking that it be waived, basically, your portion from the city.
so you've already got for the October 4th done.
Yes.
So I think in the future, moving forward, is what we're saying, is that it would be a partnership with the city and chamber, and that the city liability would cover that. Unless they have something extraordinary, let's say they get bounce houses, then they probably need additional insurance for that, because that's more inherently dangerous. But it's probably not any more dangerous to shut down the road and let people be out there than it is for people to drive on it.
I'm not, okay, I see that, never mind.
And our insurer is okay with this change?
We just
Whoever
have
that
to-
is?
In the code amendment, we still need them to fill out a special event form, just so we know, like, safety considerations, special requests that they have, but also because each time that they have a small event, we have to fill out a form now to send to our insurance company in a timely manner, so they can look it over and give any other risk management
So if
advice.
it's something that might be considered risky, they would give us feedback on that.
Which I think, like I said, I think if you guys had bounce houses or something more
Correct, if
extraordinary.
we have a festival or something, we're going to have
Additional
insurance.
insurance.
If there's bounce houses, things like that, what we were asking about is strictly music, vendors, closing down.
The Fifth Friday type things.
Yeah.
Nothing additional,
No axe throwing, nothing like
no,
that?
unless
Not
you
yet.
wanna come, there you go.
Okay, motion to approve.
Yeah.
I'll second.
Further discussion? Further discussion. Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda, report from elected and appointed officials. Status report, Mr. Parker.
If I may, I'd like to go back to item 10G, and that was the radios. And Chief Lunger, just for clarification, these radios are just the portables that we're talking about.
Yeah, just portable, not the mobile that we go on the spot boats.
Okay, just for clarification, just portables.
Not,
Okay, status report, I got a few items I can bring to your attention. Manholes that we've been relining, that 10 of them, they're finished.
Good deal.
pretty quick.
Pipes replaced at Wayne Street lift station, that project's completed. Sewer and water distribution department are beginning to repairs to a sinkhole on Dog Road. It's a joint combination between those two departments. They have replaced 150 feet of force main on Northfield. It was damaged with, drilling through there. They had damaged it, and we didn't mark it right. It was our fault, so we had to replace it.
Fiber optics.
Yeah,
Never done
so we didn't do the, yes, we didn't do the, marking correctly. In the sewer department as well, they are finished hauling sludge. Currently, the tanks are empty. They don't know if they will get to haul any more this year or not. There's not currently a need, but if there's a need, if it's not too wet, they'll haul some more. But currently, they're in good shape there. And, then after that, fall maintenance of settling the tanks and final clarifiers will begin soon. That's, sewer department, water plant, they will be, soliciting bids for carbon replacement in the spring, and that will be something that will come to the council here. We do that every 5 years.
Have we budgeted for that, Alan?
We have budgeted, yes, sir.
You know, okay.
Street department, the, sewer line, storm sewer line on Kitchell has been completed, so that project, storm sewer is totally complete. And the tennis court parking lot is substantially complete, all that addition, we, waiting on a state permit for southwest along 130, permit to do some repairs there, or replacement. And that's all I have.
Any questions or comments for the city manager?
I had one comment on 10G that's notable for the public record by our police and fire departments. Buying in bulk with Sheriff Andy Hires, we saved a total of 20% on the bulk order of those radios.
Very good.
Good job.
Any further? RCDC report? Chamber of Commerce report. It's a steer down.
You can go.
Okay, so we have a Fifth Friday coming up October 31st in downtown Alney.
Yes.
It's gonna be immediately after the Trust Bank Halloween parade. We already have several churches and organizations setting up trunks. We already have 25 trunks, going to be on Main Street, and it's growing daily. Also vendors and music. Let's see, we also have our Fall Ladies Night event. Tickets go on sale for that September 15th at the Only Eagles Lodge. And I think that is it for this time. We had a very successful Fifth Friday, after hours, our last time. We had over 60 people in attendance, and if you have ever been to any in the past, you know that that was a great turnout. So I encourage all of you to try to come out and join us the next time we have it. Thank you.
And when is gonna be the next time and where?
The next one is going to be, it'll be after the first of the year, because we do it once a quarter, and it's to be determined at this time.
Okay. It was a fabulous night.
Okay, very good.
Is this time I can throw something out there?
Yes, you-
This is an update. We have been looking to work with the school district on a potential trades program to renovate houses. We would purchase the house, they would do the renovating, and I believe at their next meeting, their trades program director is supposed to give a presentation on that, so
very good.
please stay tuned with that.
Do you know the date and time?
Board? I believe it's September 18th, I have that correct, yeah, the school board meeting, yeah.
Very good. Excellent. Anything else from council members? Anything else? Seeing none, I would accept a motion to enter into closed session to discuss the sale of.
Hey,
Oh, yes,
yeah, I've got a question.
shoot,
I live in the county,
yes,
but I shop in Alney.
yeah.
Why are we still taxed 0.5%? I know it sounds like a little bit, 0.5% for a jail that's already built and already paid for.
That is outside of our purview. That's a county.
That is
county
a
answer.
city tax though, right?
No, it's a county.
It's a
tax.
county tax.
County.
Can you tell me why?
I can tell you my email and I'll get back to you.
Okay.
Because I don't wanna give you an off-the-cuff answer, I wanna research it.
Okay, so what I'm asking is, we've got this no cash, no bail, because the state says so? Can the county still have it? Even though the state said no?
No.
That'd be unconstitutional.
Okay, okay, the
It's a
federal
higher
government
government.
says no pot, but yet the state says yes, you can. So is this like a tit for a tat? I mean, I'm trying to find answers, because I think we should have a jail system that supports itself instead of having the taxpayers support it when there's things done that they're good for this person, but not for this person. And I won't get into any more personal stuff about that, but I think that money can be used, and I think Mark agrees, towards city roads. You know, why are we still supporting a jail for what, $250,000 a year? When they should be able to come up with their own phones. I'm just throwing that number out there. I don't know if it's true or not. Yeah, because I'd be a numbers girl. I'd want to know on paper what we're doing. But why not use that money wisely instead of just throwing it out to whatever? Because I don't see anybody reporting it otherwise.
Definitely beyond our control.
That's county, and
So
there'll
that's
be
county.
some accountability, I mean, just
So that's
asking the
that's a
right person.
county question.
Yeah.
When's the next
Okay.
county board meeting?
Thursday.
You guys are killing me. I work 2 jobs. I work for the federal government and I run a tree service, and I am exhausted right now, and my husband's inspecting Burger King right now. So, yeah, and when that has to eat 6 times a day because he's had an esophagectomy because of having stage 3 cancer, I'm stretched, to say the least.
You can email county board at county.illinois.gov, and it goes to all of our county board members.
How about I give you my email and you send me that stuff with it?
I'd make
Okay,
a motion to
to
enter into closed session.